Fantastically welcome our speaker tonight, John.
I'm John. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is May 17th, 2011. My sponsor is Mike Bennett, of course. And my home group is the Sunday Morning Men's Stag, which I have a commitment at. I am the treasurer. And I have a commitment at the Saturday night speaker meeting, which I am the speaker getter there. And I don't say that to act cool or anything. I say that because that's what I do on a daily basis. 95% of the time I wake up and I hit my knees and I hold my dog's paws and I pray with her, Serious, true story. And I read the daily reflections 95% of the time, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. And I kind of try to get some quiet time in the morning and just kind of relax and chill out, and then my day is just crazy from that point forward, pretty much, And I do this. I try to put my hand out to the newcomer. I try to do these things, I remember what it was like to get 6 months. It was like cool, but I knew that I had relapsed so many times. I wish my story is more like, what I was thinking, like, this is my water, right? So I used to sit on park benches and bus benches and in front of stores down in Phoenix, and I had 1 cup with vodka and 1 cup with my chaser, And that's what I used to do, when I was a functional alcoholic. And in the end, it was just like... It was just straight out of the bottle warm, because my name was Vodka John on the streets, and that was given to me by One Eye Joe, who had both eyes, by the way. He literally had both eyes. But you knew when One Eye Joe was drunk, because you'd pop up on him and he'd be like this, so that you didn't see double, So he was One Eye Joe from that point forward. And I don't know who gave him that name, one arm John. I don't know. But that's the kind of drunk that I am, all the outside issues, were part of my story, but that was always a substitute for my alcoholism, for my physical allergy to alcohol, which I think I always had my whole life, because I remember 5 years old taking a drink and puking all night, drinking with the guys. They were giving me shots of beer, and I was like all cool, because I fit in. Because I was always trying to fit in my whole life, and I was fitting in with these guys because they're like, ooh, here's a little 5-year-old kid, let's watch him get drunk. And I imagine like maybe a normal 5-year-old kid would take a few drinks and then be like, no. Something happened different inside of me at that point, And I didn't drink again for a long time. But so I drank again when I was 11 and when I was 13. So like I like to speak because I have this story I tell about myself that's cool, right? And I need to support that story, so I'm like, I like to be cool, but that's the truth, right? And if I'd be lying if I said anything different, because that's what I love what it says in the 12 of 12 about humility, is knowing who and what I really am, followed by a sincere desire to be what I'm capable of becoming, and if I said I wasn't, my story that I used to tell about myself was I was this piece of shit, right? I was the piece of crap at the center of the universe, It was all about me, and I was never good enough, always never, ever good enough, If there was people laughing on the other side of the room, they were laughing at me. That's exactly what I thought, And every now and then that creeps in. Every now and then it's like I hear somebody laughing, and I remember the vestiges of that old character defect, that old Karen, what everybody thinks of me, And like a little bit when Mike came back in the room back there, and he's like, try this on. He gave me his coat. He's like, you're speaking tonight. And I was like, I got a little bit nervous, I'm like, crap, and I know that is me caring about what every one of you are thinking about me, 100%. It's like, it may be the little vestiges in there of like, hey, I won't do this good enough, or nobody's going to like me, And I found through my experience of speaking, is that as long as I'm trying to speak to help somebody, I can't go wrong, even if I sound bad, So, I mean, yeah, I grew up in Phoenix. I grew up in Sunny Slope, Paradise Valley area, and I'm surprised I didn't become a tweaker, bad tweaker, because anybody that knows Sunny Slope, Tobin, you know what goes on in that neighborhood, And I was raised around bikers and hippies, and I was taught that people that believed in God were weak, and people that my only experience with that was that people what I was told by my drug addict dad, who dealt drugs in front of us and offered them, at the age of 10, 11, here, smoke some pot with me, and which it was much funner to steal it from him than it was to actually take it from him. I found that out later. It was, I don't know why. It's just it's part of my nature, I found out where he stashed it. My sister showed me how to open the fucking refrigerator. And sorry, Mike. I just used the F word. And that was the cool kid at school now, and so I don't know how I didn't become, I was to an extent, but not like the real deal, So I grew up in that neighborhood. I was taught, I didn't know my vision of this God or whatever church, and to me was the guy knocking at your door saying, "You're going to hell if you don't believe in this." And I was like, "Really? Well, I'm going to do this right then." And I was a holy terror. I was like Bart Simpson on crack. I got suspended like every year, multiple times a year, for doing stupid stuff, and defiance is my defining characteristic. I still remember this. I don't know why, this one little instance of what I remember in school of they said, okay, I remember in school, in the class, going, they're like, those bean trees over on the playground, on that far side of the playground, do not pick those beans. And I went over and I picked them and I got suspended. That was just the nature of my nature. I don't know why, probably just trying to get attention because that was the only way I could fit in again, I was horrible at school. I think the only reason I passed my grades was because the teachers didn't want me in there anymore. They were just like, just get him, pass him just to go to the next class. So he's somebody else's problem, so I barely skated through school. I dropped out of high school at a young age, and started working and, but I remember that ran out, that fitting in and all of that ran out when we moved from Sunny Slope, which is, I was a little dirtbag amongst dirtbags, right? And we moved up to the PV area, around, I remember, 32nd Cactus, 40th and T-Bird area was my stomping grounds, Roanoke Park. I know Joe's shaking his head, so he knows the area. And it's not as bad as Sunny Slope, but we made it bad. I moved up there, and I didn't fit in, and I remember, I didn't fit in, I'm always suddenly I'm in this neighborhood, where people have nice clothes now, and I'm always, here I am judging my insides with people's outsides, right? So if they could act cool, they could be cool, they had a nice shirt on, maybe they had a sport coat. Nobody had a sport coat. I'm just messing around here. But then maybe they were all suddenly cooler than me, and they were better than me, and I was less than. I don't know exactly. Maybe it was I was just less than. They weren't bad. I don't know, But that's the way it was. And I went through a few years there actually. I don't tell my peanut butter and jelly sandwich story all the time, but I remember in seventh grade I went to Greenway Middle School in the square, and I failed that seventh grade. And I remember my parents gave me sack lunches for school, right? And peanut butter and jelly. And I was so ashamed to eat that peanut butter and jelly sandwich in front of people that had like a couple $2 for a burrito or, and a Coke, that I starved myself at lunch. And I remember stuffing those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in my locker. And until that locker was just packed full of peanut butter and jelly. At the end of the year, there was no books in there or nothing because I didn't do any work, and it was just packed full of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, The only reason I probably went to school is because I didn't want to go home and get my ass beat by my dad, And which so so at the end of the year, yeah, I failed, of course. I remember I was so worried about what everybody thought of me, right? That I remember Yellow Front. Anybody remember Yellow Front? And the Yellow Front was I remember these. I had ratty clothes and stuff, but I remember my mom had like this limited budget. Harley parts were more important than clothes for the kids. So we went into Yellow Front, and I remember I got these two outfits, and they were like identical outfits, just different colors, right? I remember at that seventh grade, I wore these outfits back to back, because it was the only thing that I thought was cool that I would look okay in, That's how self-conscious I was, and what kind of piece of crap I was, And so I did this, and these girls in seventh grade actually felt sorry for me. They bought me clothes which made things much worse. Because now I'm like, crap, really, I'm that bad? Didn't realize it till somebody bought me clothes, and they were like, these girls came up with a collection, and they bought you clothes, and I remember I let those clothes sit on the counter until the end of the year, and I ditched that last class and played like foosball and stuff. There was really no video games back then, and ditched and came in right before the last bell rang and got those clothes and left, and I never saw any of those kids again ever. And so I didn't really start drinking then. I mean, I got suspended for school for drinking one time, but it was just like a thimble full of alcohol, and and I remember my stepdad, who was old school, and I was never a smoker, but I remember I got caught and he's suspended, and he's like, "Where's the bottle?" And I was like, "I don't have it," And I didn't. I just poured a little bit of his stuff in the bottle, and so he was old school, and he sat me down at the table, and he's like, with one of those old Tupperware glasses full of whiskey, right? And he's like, "Drink it," and of course, I drank it, and I didn't stop after a little bit. I drank the whole damn thing, and I got pretty buzzed, But that wasn't that aha one, I mean, I remember when we moved again. I went to Shea Middle School. And right before Shea Middle School, I think it was right before we started school. And I still remember this moment, Here I am, I'm a piece of crap at the center of the universe. I can't do anything right? Everything's just blah, blah, blah. And I remember taking that drink. I remember taking that first drink that I really remember going, aha, And I was 13 years old. And I remember sitting on the floor in front of my parents' TV, and I just felt that warm, fuzzy feeling go through, and like everything was going to be all right. Like I had found my solution to what was going on in my head, and I still remember that, and at that point on, I was this skinny I ran track and cross country in high school and middle school, and I was real fast, and I found my niche is going into stores and stealing and running out, and nobody could catch me. Never. There wasn't a chance of it, and I did that, and I was a cool kid. That's how I fit in, I was going in, and I was hanging out at Roanoke Park, every night, drinking, partying, doing other stuff, and I would go steal it, and I'd come out, and and everybody liked me because I was that guy, and I could, Jimmy the lock on the freezer too, so I was that guy too, and and that got me in, not too much trouble really, but. So that was the story right there. That was the beginning, and it never really ended. And I saw some people getting 6 months, congratulations, and a couple of years, and some other months. And I'm not one of those guys that always remembers all your names. I apologize. No, I had in that 26 years from 13 to 39 when I got sober. I had 4.5 months in the Salvation Army Rehabilitation Center, the ARC program down in Phoenix. Which is, I went in there, to find God, because everybody kept, I got to skip around that, but that's the only time I had 4.5 months, it was anything close to that until now. This was my first 6-month chip that I collected, and it's still dry, and that's my first, hopefully my last 6-month chip. I don't know, so my story is, with the drinking, it's bad, I mean, real bad. Like 3 DUIs, probably 30 times in Maricopa County Jail, 50 detoxes, 50 ER visits, on and off the streets for many, many years. 1995 to 2002 was basically spent homeless. The 90s was just a waste, doing day labor, sleeping under bridges and bus benches, whatever, you name it. I did it, shit myself, all that good stuff that good alcoholics do, that was it, and but that's not what makes me an alcoholic, The fact that, and I never knew this till I really look back at my story and I go, holy crap, I look back because I read that one line, is that like if when I drink, do I have little control over the amount of alcohol that I take, and I look back and I go, there was times, I like to say, this is the truth too, but there was other times that I was able to control my drinking, but normally the only time I could control my drinking was when I was doing speed. It's a true story too, I could shoot pool. I was like, ooh, wow, everything, I didn't get just obliterated drunk, because any other time I was obliterated drunk 80% of the time, right? Until I got later, and then I was 100% of the time, till my street years was 100%, 24/7, around the clock. You know, I was at the end. I was drinking. The last 12 years, which is the end, but not solid. You know, I had a lot of sobriety, in 2 months increments. You know, 67 days, 37 days, 14 days, 4.5 months. I got drunk at 100 days one time. So my story isn't I just came in here and I stayed sober. You know, my story involved a lot of failing at doing this, you know, miserably, you know. And but that I look back and I go, I've never been able to control my drinking, ever. You know, that's that physical part, you know. And I like what I heard. I love it. Brent was the first one I heard it from. You know, if alcohol were the problem, detox would be the solution. You know, and I went through detox. I was a regular at Community Bridges, East Valley, and Central City. A regular, and anybody that's been in there knows that place is a freaking hole. You know, where they're literally hosing the area down after the guy comes in and he's crapping all over and everything, you know, and take you into the shower and hose you off and you know, and give you a freaking gallon and kick you back out on a Van Buren, you know. And I was a regular there. You know, they knew me in East Valley. Central City didn't know me that well. I didn't visit that one as much. You know, but that's not my real problem though. You know, my real problem is that, I mean, I tried just stopping and not drinking, right? I tried that for a long time, you know. Basically 16 years I tried that for. After I first was on the streets, I really first started drinking heavily. And, you know, when everything else became like secondary, you know, the only reason I was homeless the first time is because it was easier. You know, I could drink all I wanted to and I didn't have to pay any bills. You know, and that was literally the reason why I went out there. I was like, well, I lost my apartment and everything. I was like, I don't even want to do this. I just want to frickin' drink, you know. And it was so easy. I could make my $35 a day, and I could drink all day, and I could drink all night, and it was just like easy, you know. And it was really, and it lasted like that for not too long before I became non-functional. But I tried again and again to stop, and I failed miserably, you know. And I look back, that's the true nature of my disease, you know, is that, you know, if I don't do anything, I'm probably doomed to drink again, and I really don't want that. I've seen a lot of people in 10 years go out, you know, a lot of people fade away, and then next thing you know, they're coming back in with a couple of days sober, you know. And that's enough. That combined with my experience that I have of me personally doing that is enough to go, I don't want to chance it, you know. But I can tell you my first, so I'm driving a cab in Phoenix, right? And I had periods of sobriety during that. And this is after the outside issues were gone. You know, I was 30 years old, and the outside issues were taken away. So here now I am stuck with just alcohol with zero substitutes when I wasn't drinking, right? And that's a miserable time, you know, because you take the alcohol away and you don't put anything in place of it, you know, whether it be, you know, whatever outside issues or women or buying nice trucks or, you know, or things or whatever, you know. If I don't do that, you know, I'm pretty freaking, I get miserable, you know, if I don't have things constantly, you know, feeding that hole, you know. And I didn't know this, you know, but I just kept drinking again and again. I never really realized why I did it. I look back at my history again, you know, after being in the program a little bit, and I look at it and I go, it usually started with, I'm not getting my way, you know, generally started that way. You know, I would look back and I'd go, I was a very indignant alcoholic, right? If I'm not getting my way, if I think I'm going to lose something, I think I'm not going to get something that I feel I deserve, you know, then I start getting really irritable in my head, right? And I always go back to that 13 years old again, right? On the couch, or on the carpet, I mean. And it always goes back to that it did that for so long too, that I know how to fix this. I know how to fix this pain, you know? And it always went back to that. I always recorded that little memory in there. And when it was good in the beginning, you know, when it wasn't real bad yet, you know, I could wake up the next day after drinking all night and I'm like, whoa, cool, you know, oh, everything's great, you know. And that's why I followed that. And that's what always came back, that thought. And that thought clouded out anything else that it was going to be bad. Oh, you're going to be homeless again. Oh, you're going to end up in detox again. Oh, you're going to do this. As soon as that came into my mind, it was like, it spun like this freaking, you know, the snowball going down the hill. it spun like that until it was just this monster snowball I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to pick up a drink. And it happened hundreds of times, and that's what happened, and so I remember being in East Valley the very first time, East Valley Community Bridges, and being outside, and I remember, I found the solution in detox, right? Valium. And it really, I detoxed so many times by myself before that, walking like 20 miles and just puking my guts out. If you saw me walking down the street during that time, you would cross the street. I was a mess. I was harmless, but I was a mess, and I remember that they juiced me up with detox. I went AMA because I actually had a car at the time. It was a cab. I owned it, and everything. And I was like, I got to move this car. It's parked in Dobson and Maine and Mesa, and it's going to get towed, and so I left, and I came back, and I remember him saying, like looking at me going, dude, you can't come back in here. This isn't a hotel. And I remember that, man. It was like the gates of hell, clashed on me, because that was that. I thought I found the solution, right, in detox, and I felt like that gates of hell, just clanged on me, because I was like, if I leave here, right now, I'm gonna drink, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. Nothing I could do about it. Zero. I felt that 100%, 100% inside of me, and I actually started to cry. I'm not a crier, And I remember the intake nurse saw that, and she's like, hey, come in tomorrow. He's not here, So I did. I stayed. I remember sitting in front of Food City at Southern and Mesa Drive, and sitting there just like, I've got to white knuckle it till tomorrow and I can get back in here. And I did. I stayed sober that night, and I actually stayed sober 67 days. That was my first sobriety day. I don't remember if it was June 9th or June 10th of 2005. And I didn't even know that was AA's birthday at the time. But I'm going to choose June 10th just because that's AA's birthday. So, and that was my first sobriety day, either June 9th or June 10th. I don't remember really, but in 67 days, and that was my first thing of like, I'm totally bone dry. I thought the next solution was I'll go live in a halfway house with a bunch of guys, a bunch of new guys in recovery, That'll be the solution. I won't pick up a drink in this. I'll be safe and sound. No. It was Cocapelli House in Tempe. And I remember being in there, and the house manager was in detox with me. That's the kind of house this was. It was not it wasn't a trashed house, but there was that zero structure. Pay your rent. I got later on. I got drunk in the house a couple times, and just it's just a mess. So the house manager's in there slamming his thing, and it wasn't said, but I knew when I was knocking on the door like 10 times, and he's in there nodding off, and I caught the resentment again. You're not supposed to do that. Here I am 67 days sober. I'm miserable again. I'm restless, irritable, and discontent because I don't have my baby's bottle. And that's what happens when you take a bottle away from baby. We cry, so 67 days sober. That resentment started spinning again. I remember that solution. That started spinning again, and it was done. It was done within an hour, I think. I packed all my shit up, and I left that house, and I got another half gallon. I stayed out there for probably a month, and went back to detox again. That was my detox. That was the beginning of my detox runs right there. That was it. That was the first one, and then it just snowballed from there. And the beautiful thing that is that at that point, Tate P, who's an awesome dude that is going to be speaking Saturday night in April. And he was like 60 days sober at the time, and I'm plugging Saturday night, Mike. And he was the biggest carrier of the message. We're grown men. He's about the same age as me. And he basically walked me into AA, my very first voluntary AA meeting. I went to AA meetings up here in 1995 to get my license back. And I remember there was a club over on like Granite Street, and there was a club in Chino Valley, and I went to 2 meetings, and then I realized that this thing is anonymous. And I didn't go to any more, and I ended up in court with a signed paper that said I did. And I was just cheating myself, And I remember that first voluntary meeting with Tate, though. I'm a grown man. I'm scared. I'm freaking 33 years old, right? And been around a little bit. I've been in situations that you shouldn't be scared about anything at this point. And he's walking me into my first meeting, and I felt really scared. And I remember my first sponsor was I forgot his name. Not Chris. Chris was technically kind of our. I forget it. But so I started out like I didn't even call him. I just called him my sponsor. You know, I got drunk. I came back. I got Ken Smith, Ken S. Sorry, Ken. And the Tempe Bloopers was the first place I went to, and he was my first sponsor that we started, and I got drunk again, and he was my still sponsor, and I had many other sponsors after that. I'd start adding little things in here and there. You know, I'd be like, okay, you know, and then the Salvation Army, I worked the steps, and I'm like, ooh, you know, and I got drunk. I just wasn't ready. You know, I wasn't ready to quite do it. You know, couldn't do my men's in Salvation Army. You know, I was just, it wasn't possible. You know, all my family that I really knew up here, and all the people on the streets that I knew back then, there was none of that, you know. So I kind of, it was like skip by ninth step, you know, and I had a free pass because my sponsor told me I really couldn't do anything in here, right? And I was just listening to him. And the second one in the Salvation Army, I did like 144 items on my 4-step, you know, got drunk again, you know. Did a few other 4-steps, got drunk again. You know, I was in and out of AA for 6 years, and I had a lot of sobriety dates. I was that poker player. You know, the 30, 60, 90-day chips, only 2 90-day chips, at 4.5 months and 100 days. And anybody in here that's struggling, I relate. I know what it's like. I 100% know what it's like. You know, I get it, to totally drink, not wanting to, and having zero control over that fact that when it happens, you know, that I didn't want to, and I did it anyways, you know, again and again and again. You know, and I totally get it. You know, that's me. But I don't regret anywhere that I went, because I look back at it and I go, everything that I did, you know, prepared me for where I'm at today. You know, all that pain and misery, all that failure, quote unquote failure, you know, all that crap that went on in my life was meant to be. You know, I just didn't see it at the time. You know, I see it, you know, 20 years later, I go, yeah, it really was, you know. Because if I came in here and I was able to get this thing, and if I caught the message and I stayed sober in 1995, but I wasn't really ready, you know, maybe I had a couple kids and a good job after that, and I was able to stay sober for 20 years, be the carpet slipper guy, you know. And, you know, then I would probably, it's like the butterfly effect. Everything would have ended up exactly where it is probably. I just would have brought some more people into my messed up world, you know, being like little kids, you know. I probably would have been the same thing, you know, just different. I mean, I don't know, honestly. I don't know. You know, but I look back and I go, everything's prepared me for where I'm at. And when I came in here, I had that gift of desperation. I was beaten and pummeled into a state of reasonableness. Because when I came back in, you know, all I knew is that I spent enough time in these rooms, right? That there was enough people that showed me that it worked, you know, and I knew that they weren't bullshitting me. I knew it 100% that this thing worked. You know, I no doubt, zero doubt in my mind at all, and I believe that, you know. And I knew another thing is that I'm gonna get drunk again, you know. I knew it, man. I was like, when I came in here, I was like, man, my last drunk, you know, was I drug a mattress behind the Safeway in PV at Florentine and Winsong, and I drug a mattress back there, and I drank about 10 bottles of frickin' vodka that weekend, you know. And I remember the cops kicking me at the bottom of the foot and going, dude, you know, it's Monday, you know, the business is opening, you can't sleep here anymore, you know. And I cleaned up my mess. I was a good drunk, you know. Picked up all my trash and dumped out my alcohol, and you know, I don't think I took the mattress back over there, you know, but it was just some scuzzy, nasty mattress I was sleeping on, you know, that'd been outside, people, whatever on it, you know. And you know, and I went to the rubber room at the hospital again, and it wasn't a bad detox. You know, there was no jail time, you know, go hovering over. Well, I had a warrant, but that was a simple warrant in Phoenix, you know. But there was nothing major holding over my head, you know. It was just that I don't know why, I didn't know at the time, man. I was like, man, I was done at that time, you know. I didn't know it. All I knew was that I was going to drink again. And there wasn't anything I could do about it, man. Not a damn thing I could do about it. And that this thing had worked for so many people. Whatever they were doing, you know, I still had the obstinacy against God, you know, that God word. And I just didn't let that bother me, you know. I just knew that people were showing me. I didn't know it, you know. They were showing me that G word through their actions, through when they were shaking my hand at the door, they were giving me their number and saying, "Hey, dude, you know, hey, give me a call. We'll go and sit in my garage and have Harley, you know, work on Harleys together, you know, and yeah, we'll hang out, dude." And they were showing me that G word through their actions, you know, and I didn't know it, but it worked, you know. They're like sneaky, you know, and so when I came in, I was just like, man, I just don't want to drink again. I know this thing will work. I'll do it. You know, I'll do it, man. I'm all in, you know. What's the worst that can happen, you know? Because I knew that wall I usually hit, 30, 60, 90 days sober, you know, I was just like, okay, I just want to be ready for it, you know. I just want to be like, okay, come and get it, you know. And so I did a lot, you know. I did a lot, 10 meetings a week. You know, I got my, Steve was my sponsor, you know, and I got him at, Tuesday was my sobriety day. Friday night speaker meeting, I asked Steve to be my sponsor. I rode a bike the first 10 months I was sober, you know, and I rode up to his house, and we worked a step every week, and I'd go back, and I'd journal every day, I'd pray every day, I'd went to a meeting, you know, and amazing thing happened at that 30, 60, 90 days, man. It was that I didn't get drunk. I didn't think about getting drunk, and not even close to getting drunk, you know, and I'm like, wow. I didn't even think about it at the time, man. I just kept doing what I was doing, you know. And that rolled into, you know, a year, you know, and then 2, and then now, you know, where I'm at now. And I'm like, wow, how the hell did this happen, you know? But I know that I like what it says, you know, is that, you know, I'm all I have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition, you know? And Tate's the first one to tell me, you know, the God hole, you know? You know, this little, we all have that little God hole up here. We just plug it up with our Tonka toys, you know? And the steps are a mechanical process that will clear away the Tonka toys, and then that thing that God's easier for me to say, you know, and whatever spirit, great spirit of the universe, Buddha, whatever, man, you know, whatever you want to call it. I use this mechanical process, which really, if I look at it in a scientific way, I go, this really should work. This really, really should work. It's like you take, you know, like changing an alternator. You know, you take off these, you know, take off the belt, you know, and then you take the bolts off. You know, disconnect the battery first, of course. You know, because that's step one. You know, or you get shocked. You know, you know, and it's like, well, yeah, if I follow this process, I really should be able to change that alternator and have a good running car. You know, if I follow that steps. You know, and I'm like at this, and I go, wow, if I really follow these steps, I really should. I look at it, I go, I really should clear away the Tonka toys, and, you know, the thought of drink won't return, you know, because I'm not restless, irritable, discontent. You know, I filled something other than the bottle, you know, that was always filling me all those years, you know, and I don't know how, you know, I don't know if I really saw it in myself. Other people obviously see it, and the beauty of this is that I get to see it in others now. You know, I get to see so many. I mean, for everybody that gets drunk again, man, there's somebody that gets it. You know, and watching everybody get 6 months was awesome. You know, there's just the freaking thrill of it and everything. You know, it's just cool. And the 9 months, I don't know why the 6 months, because everybody was so happy about that one. I don't know, but there was a couple years, a year or two, and everything. You know, Mike, yeah, and another one I think. What was your name? Jessica. I was gonna say Susan. Sorry. But yeah, no, that's the beauty of it, you know, is that I don't know what happened. Somewhere along that line, in the beginning, you know, it was just like all about me, of course. It still is to a point, you know. And I had somewhere at that point, you know, I actually honestly wanted to put my hand out to somebody, you know, like, you know, this is in the beginning, I think it might have been like, this is what I'm supposed to do. You know, I'm supposed to put my hand out to a new guy and welcome him. You know, even at 3 months or 2 months or a month, you know, there's always somebody coming in beaten and broken more than us, right? And I know that I like greeting. I love seeing the people, you know, and I know what it was like to be beaten and broken coming in the rooms. You know, I know what it was like to walk in that room and feel scared, because Tate P walked me in that room in 2005, and I was just like, I was so frightened. And I know what it's like, so I like to be able to greet. You know, it's what Mike does, you know. He walks around the rooms and he shakes people's hands like, hey, how you doing, man? You know, nice to meet you, you know. I was the guy hiding out in the back. You know, I was in the local treatment center That's the code word for hillside, and I used to, that's what they literally told us to say that in there. It's like, you can't say you're in hillside, you got to say the local treatment center. And I used to remember sitting in the back of the room, and I would come in, and I would always sit next to my smoking friends that didn't drink coffee, because we were allowed 1 cup of coffee, and I'd have like 6. I'd have theirs right next to me, and I'd slam like 2 before they got in from smoking, and then I'd have their 3, and I'd have like 6 cups of coffee, and I'd go back there all jacked up on caffeine, I'm not perfect, all right? And I know what it's like to come in beaten and broken, and I have my moments, I do. I know that. So here's this, I remember I was about 3 years sober, and there's this dude that at the Park Avenue meeting, and I remember him sitting on the other side of the table, and he had like 9 months sober, right? And I remember him telling his story, and he's sitting there and he's going, man, like a year ago, I lost my job, I lost my house, everything, man. I was so worried about what was going to happen. I was so afraid, everything. And he goes, it happened again. And then he's like, this time I'm like, I'm all right, man. He's like, God has something better for me. And I don't know why, I have these little angels that come in my life every now and then. I call them angels. They're just whatever, however you want to take that word, He was one of them. I've never seen that dude since either. I haven't seen him out here in the next 8 years, And I remember that. I believed it because he believed it. I looked at him, dude, and he really, really believed it. And I looked at him, dude, I believe it now. I really do, because he really did. And I think about that moment, man. I really do think about that moment quite often, when I'm getting in my head. I got a lot of things that keep me busy in my life, and I have a lot of things that could be turned into stress, and I do sometimes. I get, in my head, and I think about that, when things, I'm going down the dark side, I think the dude that wrote Star Wars had to have been in the program, Yeah. Pain leads to suffering, The dark side is, and all that leads to the dark side, I swear, you must have been. Master Modeloda was like Bill W., He had to have been. And I think about that, because the opposite of fear is faith, right? And I really do believe that, no matter what, and this is my history, because I got a DUI, okay? I drove a cab for 5 years, discount cab in Phoenix, right? And I was, wasn't drinking while I was driving, but in the end I was. I got a DUI in the cab. I went out with a bang. I didn't mess around. 987 safe shifts. 988 was a shit show. It was bad. and that was like the end. It was 2008 or 2007, July 7th of 2007. I remember the DUI, the market just crashed. I mean, there was no work. I was out of shape. I was 250 pounds from driving a cab and eating crappy food and drinking energy drinks all day. And I remember being just hopeless, I mean, like crap. I already been in AA for 2 years, it was still another 3 or 4 years from getting sober, And I look at that. That was like the worst, even worse than sleeping in waking up on Jimmy Draw Dam, soaking wet in the middle of winter and having to walk 2 miles to the laundry. That was way worse than that, and or anything else I'd been in, and but I look back and I go, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, and the best time that I ever everything that could have happened to me in my life. The next 4 years was hell, but I look at it and I go, it prepared me for what was about to come. It really did. It prepared me for where I'm at today, it really did, because I think if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been willing to do what I did when I came in here, If it could have been easy, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? That's a trade talk, not open. And, if it was easy, everybody would do it. There wouldn't be AA, everybody would stay sober. That's it, we wouldn't need this program, but it was easy when I was willing to do it. And I look back and I go, yeah, so if I use that little bit of history and many, many other examples that I look at the time as like a just tragedy, I go, yeah, no, this will be all right, I could lose everything I have and I'll be miserable, but I know that God has something better for me. I know it. I have that faith, and I'm really not a religious person. It's just I have that faith. God has something better for me. I don't know what. I don't know, man. Maybe driving a trash truck. They make pretty good money, right? And, I don't know, So I mean, the thing I've learned, man, is that I guarantee that this thing works. I know it works. I've done this. I have a solution, right? I pause when agitated or doubtful. I ask for the right thought or action. I'm always surrounded by somebody in AA, somebody in the program I'm always talking to on a daily basis, multiple people. I'm involved. That conscious contact with the higher power, that step 11 is personal to me. The step 10 is pretty much as it's written for me. For the most part, it's pretty much word for word. I try to follow that. Because it's pretty much cut and dry. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, ask God at once to remove them, and then turn my thoughts to somebody I can help immediately, whether it be the lady at Circle K, or grabbing the cart from the person in the parking lot of the grocery store, or holding the door for the little old lady, or just not being a dick to people. Sometimes it's just not being a dick to people. It's just something as simple as that. Me just being a nice person to people. And I know if I follow these directions, yeah, it's great, And when all else fails, I stand at the door and I shake hands. And I go around and introduce myself to people, and I give my phone number out. I find the sickest guy in the room, I go, oh, there's that guy hiding in the corner over there. Let me go introduce myself to him, give him my number and say, I don't have any Harleys, but hey, how you doing? My name's John. Nice to meet you. We'll have a cup of coffee, we'll talk, and everything with all sincerity, because somebody did that for me. And I mean it. I mean it with all sincerity, sometimes my ass is falling out, not very much. Hey. Is it 10 minutes? 2 minutes, really? That clock is way off. Serious? Wow, that clock got way more off. Okay, he's the boss. So I know that I love this program. When nothing ensures immunity from drink as intensive work with other alcoholics. And that may be something just when I was in the Salvation Army, I remember my sponsor, I go, how can I be of service? And he's like, sometimes just listening to somebody, just listening. Oscar will say, simulating interest. Sometimes it is simulating interest, but I'm listening, and sometimes that's tough for a guy like me, so I guarantee this thing works, I guarantee that. And if anybody in this room needs help, if they want to stay sober, I'll meet you halfway, but I'll walk to the ends of the earth with you. I guarantee you I will. I will, and I mean that because somebody did that for me, and it saved my life. It literally saved my life. Steve P. saved my life, and I will never, ever forget that. I call him every day, 6:30, and I call Mike at 10:30, and I do that every single day. To show kind of gratitude, and I put my hand out to people because that's gratitude. That's gratitude for the gift I've been given, the grace, unearned gift. I didn't earn this. If I got what I deserved, as Mike's sponsor would say, I would be dead or in some kind of hell, I hope I helped somebody because that was my goal. It wasn't really, I was just bullshit when I said this looked good, I really want to help. There is now, there's a little bit of that. But I really do, and I'm grateful to be here, grateful to be sober, and that's all I got.